I'm really excited about this next session. We're going to be deep diving into automotive. And, this has probably been one of the industries that's seen the most disruption and digitalization, what with the Teslas of this world. And so here to talk to us, from the automotive perspective is Manisha Seewal, who's Group Chief Marketing Officer of Carro, and moderating the session will be YC, our Director of Business Solutions at ADA. Take it away, guys.
Okay, hello.
Hi, YC.
Hey, good afternoon. Hi, welcome to
Afternoon.
the Digitalization of Automotive session, where with us Manisha, the CMO of Carro, and Carro is an automotive marketplace across Southeast Asia that offers a full stack service for all aspects of car ownership. And I mean, Carro challenges the convention of buying and selling cars through making the experience trustworthy and transparent by technology. So, I mean, if there's an embodiment of digital transformation in the automotive industry, I would say Carro has done it very well through the customer experience design and also through technology. Welcome, Manisha.
Thanks, YC.
Yep. Next slide, please. Let's look at the biggest problem that we are facing now. So, what have been the biggest shift in the automotive industry due to COVID-19?
Well, the first thing first, right? The biggest shift that we are seeing is people are staying at home more, of course. But at the same time, around the world, people are afraid of taking public transport and also shared mobility services like Grab, Gojek. So that is a huge, huge shift from where we were seeing the economy or the trends going before COVID-19, where you were seeing this huge, huge growth of shared mobility space. Now, with that, one of the trends that we are seeing is people still want to commute. So yes, some are commuting more. Actually, you'd be surprised because now the car or the family car is serving both as the kids' school bus and also to bring parents out or say for their medical needs. So one car is actually now not just for the people to go from work to home and back, but it's actually serving multiple purposes. So we're seeing a huge, huge demand in the used car space. And this is becoming very interesting for us because being a tech company, we are actually very well placed in digitizing this entire experience end to end. And customers really people are really prioritizing safety and they don't want to see a human being as much as possible, even though this has traditionally been a very high touch industry.
Yeah, very interesting. I mean, looking at the way that I think that there's less commute, more work from home, and I think there's less visits to the showroom. I think the demand for cars has went up. I think people also cut down a little bit more on clothing and maybe other aspects, decide that they want to invest in a little bit safety. So, I mean, you can see from the stats, I mean, now 58% of people are looking to own a car. So, next slide, please. Yeah. So, how can automotive manufacturers and dealers take advantage of this new consumer?
Well, the beauty is that whatever digitalization that was meant to happen in the next 3 or 5 years is actually being crammed up now in 6 months, right? And this is a huge opportunity. So people who are not using their smartphone as much for shopping are doing it a lot more. People are using their smartphone for discovery, for just to educate themselves on the automotive industry and even others, right? So interestingly, when it comes to cars, people buy cars primarily because of word of mouth. So if your family and friend would tell you in the past, oh, you get a car from this particular dealership or this particular agent, they would go there. And that is like the ultimate truth. But now, as people were already searching online before COVID about cars and solutions that people are offering, now that has actually doubled up. And this presents itself a very interesting opportunity where if we as being in the automotive industry or even other automotive manufacturers, dealerships can take advantage of people using their smartphone for discovery, for experience, for even making transactions. That is really where the game is changing massively. So really a huge shift again from a very high touch industry to becoming a light touch. I will not say it's absolutely 100% end-to-end digital. They will still need a bit of convincing here and there. We have to be practical, but I think that is really what is most exciting. I mean, look at the Hyundai. Recently, they set up a new innovation center in Singapore, and it's all about creating a customized ride for yourself just through your smartphone, and it's delivered to your doorstep. That's the future.
Wow. Okay. I mean, I think you're on the same track. I mean, tell me about the contactless sales process that Carro is coming up with.
Yeah. So we came up with this during the circuit breaker, right? So all the dealerships were asked to close down because of safe distancing measures, and there were no test drives allowed either. And we said, hey, this presents a very interesting opportunity. Why don't we now look at the customer experience, and then we break it down and we make it absolutely digital end to end. So during the circuit breaker time, we actually reinvented the entire customer experience to make it contactless. And we were the first in Singapore to launch this. So what happens is, if you want to buy a car, all you do is you pick up your smartphone, or you just browse, go to car.sg, and you go to buy, and you will see a list of cars over there. You click on any car, and for the first time, every car has its own little health report, right? Something like a medical report. We call it a 150 inspection point check report. So what we have done is every car that we are selling has actually gone through a rigorous check, and it is very transparent to the customer. So we have actually thought through everything that the customers will think of in their decision-making process, and whether we can provide that information upfront digitally to them. So there is trust that is gained at every step of the way, right? So yes, every car has a health report. If you like the car, you can say, okay, I think I want to have a look at it. Now, you can't test drive, right? You can't test drive cars right now. What do? Is you make an appointment to say, okay, I want to come and view the car. So we do allow a bit of that hybrid where people still want to kick the tires. So you make an appointment, and when you come down to view the car, again, there's no human being involved, right? You will get a unique OTP pin straight into your handphone, 4-digit pin, and there's a little lock kept behind the car. You just key it into the lock, and the lock will open up, and the key is inside, right? So you take the key, and then you unlock the car. You can turn on the engine. You still can't test drive, but you can at least smell the leather. You can kick the tires. You can see if the aircon is functioning well. You can look inside the hood, see how the engine is. And if you have questions, you can immediately go on a live video chat with any of our sales expert. So the car experts will take you through the nitty-gritty. And the beauty is, because as a tech company, right, if your credit rating is great, what we have done is we can actually pre-approve your financing and your insurance even before when you come for test drive. Now, if your credit rating is great, technically, if you like the car, you can just drive it off, and you can have a 3-day test drive. We actually allow customers to have 3-day test drive. Go enjoy a car, share with your family. And if you don't like it because maybe your wife thinks, hey, the stroller doesn't fit, or your kids find it a bit uncomfortable, then you can just return it back to us, no questions asked. So this is really how we've changed the entire customer journey and the entire experience end to end to make it contactless. So we prioritize safety. This is something we're super excited about.
Yeah, well, I really like how you build that trust. I think going through the nitty-gritty of that customer experience to make it feel safe, especially in this period, is really good. Then you also took into the consideration of the feelings of, I think my wife will always want to know how big the boot space is. I mean, we have a store.
Exactly right.
Grocery for the week. I was like, okay, before I know I might be buying a bus, right? So, so this is interesting. And then you even have to drive down to your parents' place to see whether they can have problems getting into the car and out. And I really like that touch of customer experience, and then how you weave it into the technology. So I mean, if you to look at it, I mean, next slide, please. I mean, we see that there's the future of the automotive industry seems to be quite interesting. And then what do you have to advise on that?
Well, the future of the automotive industry, right, the way we see it is, I don't think we will see the traditional showrooms the way that they are right now. They are very, they are great places for the whole family to go, and then there's a lot of crowd. But I think that is going to change quite a lot. So the traditional showrooms are probably not going to exist in the future. Next is the experience has to be available to customers 24/7. So currently traditional showrooms are open only like 10 in the morning, they close down by 7. But actually we should ask this question to ourselves. When is the best time, if you're working weekdays, for you to actually look at a car on a weekday? It's after office hours, and it's with your spouse, or if not with your kids. So why do I need to restrict myself to those hours, and if not cram everything, over the weekend just to bring everybody to a showroom? So we feel that the showrooms, brick and mortar, are not going to be the way that they are right now, which is, we find it a bit rigid. 2, it's going to be 24/7. 3, it could be showroom anywhere, and people could actually purchase a car anywhere. So technically, if you want like a car, you could have it dropped off at your neighborhood inside the car park, down your block, and then all you have to do is use your smartphone to remote lock unlock. By the way, we've already launched a remote lock unlock
Wow.
device for our cars. Yeah. So all you need is a smartphone, remote lock, unlock. You sit inside the car. You can sign an insurance again on your smartphone if you want to test drive, and then off you go. Really, if you like the car, you drive it around. If not, you just leave it there, and then you can remote lock it back, and your insurance pretty much stops there. So everything from the way that we experience the car, which is how do we get to driving it, and also if we buy the car, how are we being charged for insurance in the future is going to change. That brings me to the other point, which is on usage-based insurance. Maybe we'll talk about that a bit later.
Yeah. Well, I keep that in mind because I think when it comes to using of data, I think that there's quite a lot of things that you have done that you have not shared yet. So I think in terms of predicting maintenance, can you share with us a little bit more on all the data you have collected based on the cars you have been in your fleet and what have you done with them?
Yeah, sure. So we, apart from our, usual buying and selling of cars that we do at Carro, we also run our own, we have our own car workshop and our own maintenance, right? So over the years, we have collected enough data to be able to tell that which make and model of a certain brand will break down and which part is likely to break down. So for example, for a Volkswagen Golf, the gearbox will give you problem roughly about year 4 onwards. And we will tell you exactly how much that is going to cost you. And this is just one very small example of knowing that certain cars have different things that break down in them at different points of time, which again leads to the cost of maintenance of a car. And we believe in the future, people are not going to pay a lump sum, to have their entire car with warranties, etc. But it will be totally based on the kilometers that you drive. Because the fact of the matter is, the more you drive, the more wear and tear there is. The more wear and tear, the more expensive it is to maintain a car. So if I'm not driving that much, why should I be paying same as the other guy who's driving a lot more? So we feel that data is really going to power not only how we experience the car, but also how we pay for the car on a usage basis, which will be down to the unit economics, really.
Well, I see a lot. I see a lot of interesting part where even insurance now they're getting you to get on the fitness app to see how fit you are before they give you a discount on your premium.
Exactly.
Right? And I think here in using of data, you can also understand how dangerous a driver they are. The way that based on their data, and maybe that's something that you can do in terms of insurance.
Yeah, we're actually working on it right now. So late last year, we partnered with NTUC Income and we launched Singapore's first usage-based insurance, right? The way it works is, so traditional insurance, of course, you pay one lump sum, right? And then there was this hybrid model that came in, which uses telematics device. But again, you have to pay upfront, and then if you don't drive as much, they will give you a refund, which we thought was also a bit awkward. So what we did, we actually use data and charge customer on a per kilometer basis on a monthly level. So it's not about, oh, you pay this much and we give you back. No, it's really down to the per kilometer. And that's a fantastic use of data as far as driving behaviors now are concerned, right? So after COVID, people are probably not driving as much. So why should I pay the same insurance premium as what I was paying last year? So that's one big question. Next, another thing we are innovating now is pay based on how well you drive or how you drive. So we're working on a technology where if you rev the engine too much or if you brake too hard, you're going to be loaded with a little bit more money than somebody who's treating their car rather well.
Yep, it's fair. I think if you're a good driver, I think you should be rewarded. I think nowadays we are not rewarded because whether you drive dangerously or safely, you pay the same. Yeah. So very interesting. So let's take a pause. Let's take some questions from the floor.
Okay.
So there's a lot of focus on digital transformation. I think you are really doing it very well. A lot of humanless transaction. How do you think that human will continue to play a part? Now we sound like this is a 2030 kind of conversation, but how do you think human play a part in this digital transformation? Yeah.
Okay. Well, humans will still continue to play a part because humans will still have to develop the technology, isn't it? But I always believe that while the technology can still be democratized to a large extent, the usability of technology is really what's going to make the big difference between the players who get it right and win big and versus people who are players who probably don't win as big. Humans will continue to play a part in automotive. I don't think that's going to go away anytime soon. Really, it's not going to go away anytime. So I think there's another question that's probably going to pop up later about driverless cars. Yep. Yes, it is going to happen in the future, but it is still a way to go.
Yeah.
Right? We know that there were a few tests that didn't go that well. To really make that technology accessible and inexpensive is going to take some time.
Yeah, I think human is still very key to design the experience for another human. I don't think AI can replace that experience.
Exactly.
I think it's an enabler, but not the designer of it. So I think let's look at this question. When will we enjoy the autonomous driving car or SUV that can instruct the car to pick up our spouse, for example, a supermarket, and drive our spouse back to us? Wow. Sounds like a delivery service. Yeah, so what's the time frame for Malaysia? Yeah.
My question to you would be, why do you even want to put your spouse inside? It should just be a car that you ask to go to the supermarket and somebody just loads it inside and the car comes back, right?
Yeah.
Put your spouse through that. You don't like your spouse very much.
Or maybe just in a supermarket to select the fruits, to make sure that you're buying the one that you like, and then we really don't know.
I really don't know. Well, I don't think it's very far away. Honestly, probably I'll give it another 8 years or so. Things like this are already beginning to happen. But I think the key challenge here is, yes, we can come up with a prototype quickly, right? But it still has to speak to the other cars. So even though it is driverless, there has to be some technology that speaks to the other cars. And having that will take a little bit of more time. So we can't look at it as just creating one linear model and hoping for it to succeed.
Yeah. Okay. So we have about 3 minutes left. I'm going to pick this question. So what are the three key things that you think for automotive dealer to digitalize? I mean, what advice would you give? Especially there are some automotive companies in this session.
Right. So number one thing I would say first is digitalize yourself. So if you are currently getting financing from banks, etc., find a way that you can work with a player who can give you a credit line that is already digitally enabled. So you don't, when the time comes, you don't have to, come up with a stack of paper that you're still signing, bringing to the bank. So enable yourself first and make yourself nimble quickly. So that's the number one thing. Second would be when it comes to reaching out to customers, we are actually seeing a lot of dealerships are already doing things on social media, Facebook, Instagram. I see Facebook Live also being used to sell cars, which is great, but try to take a step back and ask yourself, why should the customer choose your dealership over the rest? Now let's look at new car versus used cars, right? New cars, it's usually very hard to differentiate unless we're differentiating on price. So while you're digitalizing, ask yourself, can I look at the way I interact with my customers in the past and digitize it such that I position it to my customers as, I am caring for you and for your safety. Why don't you consider coming on this journey with me to purchase journey as digital as possible? So that's very important. So while the customer is probably anticipating some change from you, if you don't demonstrate it, it's probably not going to happen so easily, right? So first thing, digitalize yourself. Second, digitalize the customer experience. So customers feel more safe interacting with you. And thirdly, once somebody has purchased an automotive from you, see if there's a way that you can continue getting data from whichever vehicle that you have either sold or bought, because that will also enable you to know your own business very, very well, and also form partnerships. Actually, right now is a great time for partnerships, and a lot of businesses, especially those that are struggling, are coming together and forming alliances. So it's a great time to do that too. So digitize, customer experience, form partnerships. I think this is the best way to take it forward.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think we're running out of time. I think that's why I think the moderator prompted us.
Oh no.
But thank you, Manisha, for sharing. I really enjoy how you have done that digital transformation very quickly, and then the human element in designing the human experience. And I look forward to more exciting product from Carro. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Likewise. All right, yes, bye.
Thanks so much, Manisha and YC. That was an awesome session. And Manisha, I was just thinking about the question about the spouse going to the supermarket. I can tell you why that's happening. With all the lockdowns today, all of us find that grocery shopping has become quite a treat just to get out there.
Oh, really? Actually, that's true, That's true. I wait for that too. You're right.
All right. Thanks again. Really loved your session. Thanks for spending time with us.